In the barren desert where scorching suns seared all hope, a woman stood silently, her eyes fixed on the distant horizon. Sarah, once Sarai, awaited a divine promise. A child, a miracle amid mounting doubts. Have you ever wondered, how do you hold fast to faith when every door seems shut? The untold story of Sarah, a pivotal biblical woman, is a journey through pain and doubt to grasp grace and redemption. Today, we uncover her courage and wisdom, lessons that echo in modern lives. Step into her story. Subscribe to catch more soul-stirring journeys. Ready your heart. Sarah will make you believe in miracles. Beneath Canaan's star-drenched sky, Sarah, then Sarai, walked a red dirt path, her cloak fluttering in the cool desert breeze. At 40, her beauty dazzled, not just in her refined features, but in deep eyes holding hope and pain. Yet her heart bore a silent burden: infertility. In ancient culture where womanhood was defined by motherhood, Sarah carried an invisible shame, a curse that clung to her. Each pitying glance from neighbors, each child's laugh from nearby tents, cut like a blade. But Sarah was more than Abraham's wife, the faithful patriarch. She was a formidable soul, a biblical woman seeking profound meaning in God's elusive promises. Her untold story sparked in a sacred moment when God told Abraham, "You will be the father of many nations." The words thundered through the desert, laden with authority and promise. Sarah, standing nearby, listened, heart pounding. A child, a nation. At her age, with her body seemingly barren, the promise was both a beacon and a burden. Her heart wavered, torn between faith and doubt. How could a woman like her, bound by time and societal scorn, be part of such a grand plan? Yet Sarah refused to let doubt consume her, though her soul trembled like a harp in the wind. She pressed on, clutching a fragile hope that God's wisdom would shine clear. Sarah and Abraham's backdrop was the harsh desert, where each day was a fight for survival. Flimsy canvas tents were fleeting homes, pitched and struck as they roamed strange lands. Daytime sun scorched skin, nighttime cold seeped into bones. Hunger stalked, and hostile tribes loomed. Abraham, with rock-steady faith, led through these trials. He was Sarah's anchor, the husband she loved and revered. But even his love couldn't silence her inner questions. Sarah's courage was tested not just by external hardships, but by an internal war. She asked, "If God chose me, why am I empty?" The question, dry as desert wind, blew through her soul, sowing seeds for a grueling faith journey. Sarah was no passive sufferer. Despite her pain, she held dignity and resilience. She tended the household, managed servants, and stood firm beside Abraham through tough choices. But infertility made her feel severed from God's promise. In her era, a childless woman faced not just personal grief, but communal failure. Sarah felt the whispers behind her, the pitying looks from caravan neighbors. Yet, as a biblical woman, she refused to let prejudice define her. A fire burned within, a yearning for divine justice to manifest. She believed, though the path was dim, that God didn't forsake those who waited. Her heart's first conflict crystallized in the gap between promise and reality. God's words to Abraham felt vast, unreachable. A nation? A child? They echoed in her mind, but each empty day tested her faith anew. She looked at Abraham, unwavering, and wondered if she matched his belief. Still, Sarah didn't turn from God. In long nights, under moonlight's glow, she prayed silently, seeking strength to trust the impossible. Her hope, though frail, was a lamp that never flickered, guiding her through doubt's darkness. Sarah's journey transcends antiquity. It's a modern mirror, reflecting moments we face, dreams that seem impossible, goals delayed by circumstance or personal limits. Like Sarah, we navigate deserts of waiting, carrying courage and faith that divine justice will arrive in time. Her untold story reminds us that, however harsh the road, each faith-filled step testifies to human strength and God's grace. Sarah, with her doubts and hopes, was poised for a journey that would transform not just her life, but history. 10 years had passed since God's promise echoed in Canaan's desert, but for Sarah, time only sharpened her pain. The prophecy that Abraham would father many nations still shone like a star in the black night. Yet her womb remained empty, a harsh reminder of her body's limits. In their simple canvas tent, a refuge amid endless wanderings, Sarah often heard children's laughter from nearby families. Each clear, carefree sound was an invisible dagger, slicing deep into her heart. As a biblical woman, Sarah knew redemption came through faith. But as days stretched into years with no sign of a miracle, doubt began to gnaw at her soul, slow but relentless. In solitary moments, when the tent's fire dwindled to embers, Sarah sat quietly, clutching a linen cloth as if grasping fading hope. "Has God forgotten me?" she asked herself, her inner voice frail and desperate. The question took root, like weeds in parched soil. One night, exhaustion ushered sleep, and Sarah dreamed of a radiant star in the desert sky, its warm light echoing God's promise. But as she reached for it, the star vanished, leaving endless dark. She woke, sweat beading her brow, stirred by a fierce spiritual urge. Was this dream a divine sign, reaffirming the promise, or a reflection of her deepest fears? The ambiguity weighed her heart heavier. Sarah's first great conflict arose not only within, but from the crushing social pressure around her. In her culture, a barren woman bore not just personal grief, but communal shame. Whispers and pitying glances from caravan neighbors, though unspoken, pierced her pride like arrows. Sarah, for all her resilience, felt trapped between God's promise and harsh reality. In desperation, she made a heart-wrenching choice. She gave Hagar, her young Egyptian maid, to Abraham as a surrogate. The idea stemmed not from courage, but from weakness, from the agony of childlessness, from a desire to help God fulfill the promise. Sarah thought if she couldn't bear a child, she could at least control how the promise came to pass. But the decision quickly turned bitter. When Hagar conceived, her demeanor shifted. Once a humble servant, she now gazed at Sarah with pride, as if the child in her womb elevated her above Sarah's reach. Each glance, each subtle smirk, salted Sarah's wounds. Their tent, once a safe haven in the desert, brimmed with tension and jealousy. Abraham, though devoted to Sarah, couldn't bridge the chasm Hagar's presence created. Sarah felt betrayed, not just by her maid, but by herself. "I doubted God's wisdom," she whispered in the dark, her voice choked, trapped in her throat. Giving Hagar to Abraham didn't bring the redemption she craved. It only deepened the cracks in her soul. This untold story of a biblical woman reveals that even the strongest falter. Sarah, with her courage and dignity, wasn't immune to despair. Her action, our action, though flawed, sprang from a heart yearning to belong to God's promise. Yet in her suffering, she didn't wholly abandon hope. In long nights, as desert winds whistled through the tent, she began to pray. Prayers no longer polished but broken and raw. She sought God's guidance through the darkness, pleading for divine justice to heal her mistakes. Though doubt lingered, Sarah felt a faint spark of hope, a frail but unextinguished flame, urging her to trust that God was still at work, even in silence. Sarah's journey holds a profound modern echo. In life, we often try to fix God's plans when things don't unfold as expected. We seek control, chase alternatives, but like Sarah, we sometimes only tangle things further. Her story reminds us that faith isn't the absence of doubt, but the resolve to pray and wait, even when the path ahead is dim. Sarah, with all her mistakes and pain, stood at a crossroads. Would she let grief define her, or find strength to trust God's wisdom? The answer lay in her next steps, on a path fraught with trials but brimming with grace. Sarah refused to let pain define her final story. After months steeped in tension and jealousy, when giving Hagar to Abraham only deepened her wounds, she realized redemption couldn't stem from mistakes or control. One morning, as dawn spread gold across Canaan's desert, Sarah knelt on the parched earth, trembling hands clasped. "Lord, if I'm unworthy, show me the way," she prayed, her inner voice raw and fragile. In that still moment, a warmth enveloped her, not visible light, but a sacred sensation, as if God touched her heart. This spiritual sign rekindled the faith doubt had dimmed, and Sarah understood redemption lay not in forcing fate, but in surrender and trust. With newfound wisdom, Sarah acted to heal the rifts. Her strained bond with Hagar, now fraught with the maid's pride and Sarah's own pain, was her first challenge. Rather than let jealousy rule, Sarah confronted it. She didn't apologize with words, but through small acts, sharing tasks, showing respect, she sought to restore peace in their household. Though Hagar remained distant, Sarah's efforts eased the tense, stifling air. As a biblical woman, Sarah knew courage wasn't just facing external foes, but conquering inner conflicts. Her actions, however modest, proved her resilience, showing she was not just a victim of circumstance, but an active shaper of it. Sarah's boldest act came amid a greater trial, danger from King Abimelech. While sojourning in Gerar, Abraham, fearing for his life, presented Sarah as his sister, not his wife. This choice thrust Sarah into peril when Abimelech, captivated by her beauty, took her to his palace. Past 60, Sarah's timeless allure persisted, but her heart didn't quail before royal splendor or power. Instead, she silently prayed, trusting God's protection. In the alien palace, amid cold stone walls and probing gazes of court women, Sarah held her dignity. She refused to let fear dominate, placing faith in divine justice, believing God saw and would act. Divine intervention came swiftly. One night, God appeared in Abimelech's dream, warning of dire consequences for keeping Sarah. Terrified by the divine decree, Abimelech released Sarah and Abraham, even gifting them wealth as amends. As Sarah left the palace, her cheeks met Abraham's, not with reproach, but with resolve. Her willingness to face risk not only saved Abraham, but safeguarded God's promise for them. This untold story of a biblical woman like Sarah reveals they were not mere endurees, but spiritual warriors, ready to face trials to protect the sacred. Sarah's act was a testament to courage, not because she was fearless, but because she chose trust amid danger. This journey transformed Sarah and strengthened her bond with Abraham. Through the ordeal, Abraham saw in his wife not just a companion, but a woman of profound faith and wisdom. Sarah's sacrifice deepened his respect, and they began rebuilding trust shaken by prior conflicts. In their tent, amid the vast desert, shared moments and prayers grew richer, as if each trial forged them into a stronger unit. Sarah, who once doubted her role in God's plan, now felt a new strength, a conviction that she was indispensable to the promise. The modern echo of this story resonates deeply. In life, we often face moments demanding courage to release control and trust a greater plan. Like Sarah, we may fear or doubt, but choosing to act in faith shapes who we are. Her untold story reminds us that redemption doesn't come from dodging trials, but from walking through them with resolve. Sarah is not just an ancient figure, but a symbol for those daring to believe God's grace shines in the darkest hours. Her journey, with its courageous and wise steps, drew her closer to the miracle God promised, one that would transform not just her life, but history. Beneath the ancient oaks of Mamre, the air grew strangely still, leaves rustling as if whispering secrets. 3 mysterious strangers appeared in the sweltering afternoon, their enigmatic presence drawing Sarah, now past 90, from her tent. Her silver hair swayed with each faltering step, her aged heart suddenly quickening. A peculiar warmth radiated from the lead stranger's gaze. They bowed to Sarah, and the leader spoke. "Next year, Sarah will cradle a son." The words struck like thunder in a clear sky, startling Sarah back. She laughed, a soft, skeptical chuckle. "A child? At my age, how?" The sharp laugh cut through hope like a blade. Under the blazing sun, Sarah scanned the strangers for mockery, but found only resolve and a faith deeper than time. In that moment, decades of doubt and pain surged back. Sarah recalled sleepless nights, weeping in an empty tent, hearing other women's newborns, while cold winds filled her heart. She remembered the shame of society's judging eyes, the sense of worthlessness in a community prizing lineage. Yet now, before these strangers, Sarah realized her longing had woven into a sacred promise, transcending her body's limits. The second stranger stepped closer, his voice warm yet firm. "Is anything too hard for the Lord?" The question echoed in Sarah's mind, a forgotten spark buried by pain and disillusion. She bowed her head, the world hushing. Her heart pulsed as if breaking doubt's chains. She recalled Abraham's words, "Faith isn't trusting what we see, but what we cannot." Under the oaks, Sarah closed her eyes, praying silently. "Lord, I am weak, but I choose to believe, though logic denies." The prayer, unvoiced, was fierce enough to still the leaves. A cool breeze swept through, caressing her wrinkled face, carrying a quiet affirmation. The miracle was near. In the days that followed, Sarah returned to her tent with renewed hope. She cleaned their space, prayed at dawn and dusk. She tended Abraham with quiet joy, sharing tales of the 3 visitors. Though Abraham smiled fondly, his eyes gleamed with faith that the promise would hold. Their every word and gesture became proof of Sarah's inner journey, from doubt to courageous acceptance of her calling. Time passed day by night, and Sarah's belly swelled, a sacred mark. The Goshen camp noticed. Whispers turned from shock to awe. Sarah shed past shame. Rising above old scorn, her rough linen draped her like a mantle of hope. Her heart beat with the fierce rhythm of nascent motherhood, as if transforming the desert itself. Finally, under a full moon, Sarah felt her first labor pains. Abraham steadied her with one hand, gripping a tent stake with the other. Silence fell. Only wind stirred, insects hummed. When a newborn's cry pierced the night, the scene blazed with life. Sarah, once the doubter, trembled as she lifted the boy, eyes brimming, lips curving in awe. You are God's grace made flesh. Isaac's cry didn't just herald a child's birth. It testified to a grueling faith journey. It erased doubt and pain, turning them into gems in grace's crown. Holding her son, feeling his warm skin and fragile breasts, Sarah's heart swelled with gratitude. She was no longer society's outcast. She was the victor over doubt, the one who touched God's heart. At dawn, Abraham laid Isaac in Sarah's arms. First light pierced the oaks, bathing their small family in a gentle glow. Sarah, silver-haired, eyes radiant, whispered, God kept his promise. Around her was not just a mother's love, but an unshakable faith for those lost in despair. The climax closed, but its resolution endures. Faith isn't easy, nor a ticket to instant triumph. It's a patient journey, a choice to rise after falling, courage to trust the absurd. Sarah showed us. By shedding prejudice and embracing grace, we find miracles in barren deserts. In modern life, when facing unfulfilled promises, career dreams, love, personal hopes, recall Sarah. Be bold to wait, steadfast in the journey, trusting nothing is too hard for the Creator. Miracles come not when we control all, but when we surrender to a greater plan unseen. In Isaac's clear laughter, we hear hope's echo. Each faith-filled step is a victory, and every dream etched in our hearts will bloom in God's time. Sarah's priceless lesson. Absolute trust turns impossible dreams real. Her journey from doubt to miracle resounds, calling every brave heart to open and embrace unfading grace. As Isaac grew, his innocent laughter became a vivid testament to the immense grace God bestowed on Sarah. From a woman steeped in doubt, she transcended physical and emotional limits to embrace the extraordinary, becoming the mother of a nation. The image of Sarah cradling Isaac, her silver hair catching sunlight, etches an enduring message in our hearts. Faith isn't reserved for the strong, but is a gift for all who dare embrace trials and persevere. Sarah had endured countless tear-soaked nights, hearing society's harsh whispers when she bore no heir. She knew the shame of infertility, equated with worthlessness in a lineage-obsessed culture. Yet she refused to be defined by physical lack or hollow prejudice. Instead of yielding to criticism, Sarah faced her fears, choosing to cling to faith in the Creator's promise. She dared to pray, to hope, and to release burdens, even the human plan to fix God's work by giving Hagar to bear a child. In that moment, she proved courage isn't the absence of fear, but the resolve to move forward while trembling. When 3 mysterious strangers delivered their prophecy under Mamre's oaks, Sarah's faith cracked as it had initially, but their potent presence rekindled hope she thought extinguished. Her skeptical laugh quickly faded before the stranger's resonant question, "Is anything too hard for the Lord?" It was a pivotal moment, bridging a wounded past and a grace-filled future. Sarah faltered but chose to rise, praying with a pure heart and preparing for the miracle. Isaac's birth wasn't merely biological, it was the triumph of patience, of faith surpassing human limits. When his first cry mingled with the desert's gentle breeze, Sarah knew she wasn't alone on this path. Every step, from anguished nights to trembling arms holding her son, led to this divine moment where faith and grace converged, making the impossible real. But Sarah's journey didn't end with that cry. She nurtured Isaac, instilling faith through her own story. She spoke of empty tent days, regret over controlling God's plan, and dreams of stars fading in the night. From these, Isaac learned never to abandon hope or let fear dictate life. As he grew into the leader of a nation, Sarah's morning prayers by his bedside became a symbol of prayer's power and faith's might. Sarah's story echoes through generations, inspiring millions, women and men, navigating modern society's pressures. In bustling cities, we too feel lost, awaiting promises of stable careers, happy families, or healed wounds. Like Sarah, we often seek shortcuts instead of trusting the Creator's grand plan. We compare our lives to others, tallying successes and failures, tormenting ourselves. Why don't good things come to me? In those moments, we forget the greatest things demand time and patience. Sarah's spirit reminds us that faith isn't a silver ticket to ease, but a torch guiding through darkness. When we stumble, kneel and pray instead of surrendering. When disappointed, recall the promise that God is faithful. Let faith become daily action. Forgive without expecting reciprocation. Help others despite personal struggles. Nurture hope when signs point otherwise. From Canaan's desert to modern New York, Sarah's story retains its power. It urges us to dream bigger, wait longer, and trust divine timing only the Almighty understands. By embracing His will, we release tomorrow's worries and live fully in the present. Sarah's final lesson: let pain and doubt ferment your faith's growth. Don't fix life with quick, fleeting means. Build a steadfast bond with the Creator through prayer, gratitude, and patience. Each day, pause to thank the small things: a warm coffee, a loved one's smile, a quiet moment amid chaos. These are proofs of grace in daily life. When great promises seem distant, look to Sarah, the woman who scoffed at miracles, yet held her son and saw the impossible become possible. Her journey didn't end with Isaac. It lives each time we choose faith over doubt, gratitude over complaint, hope over despair. Sarah's story is an eternal reminder. No dream is too vast, no wound too deep, no task too hard for the Almighty. Every faith-filled step is a victory, even if the world hasn't yet noticed. Let Sarah's kindled hope blaze in your heart, making you a living testament to grace and faith's power. Thank you for joining Sarah's faith journey. If her story touched you, hit subscribe, like, and share to spread hope. Leave a comment below. What lesson did Sarah teach you, and have you faced a moment needing patience and faith? Share your story. Next week, we'll explore Deborah, the mighty prophetess who led Israel through trials. See you then. and may your day overflow with grace and hope.